Welcome back, everyone. There were 17 statewide propositions on your election ballot yesterday, and this included 3 proposed amendments that would prevent the state from imposing additional taxes on personal or business capital gains, security transactions, and those working in securities and inheritance. Now, all 3 of those proposed amendments have passed, and this is a lot to go through. The big question is, what does this mean for you and your money? So we have local financial expert Michael Neuenschwander here this morning. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us to help us break this down.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
All right. So the first one we're going to focus on here is Prop 2. And so can you explain or help us out in simple terms what this is going to mean for the average household when it comes to taxes on capital gains?
Sure. What Proposition 2 basically said is it prohibits Texas from implementing capital gains on both realized and unrealized investments. And now when we talk investments, I mean, let's keep it simple. That can be anything from from selling a business. It can be a family farm or ranch. It can even be real estate, such as, property or your home. And it basically says, even in the future, Texas cannot implement a capital gains tax. And for a little perspective, 42 other states actually already tax capital gains. So having this in the Constitution is basically just the sign that says, hey, Texas is still going to be tax friendly, business friendly, encourage businesses to come here, bring jobs here, help the Texas economy.
Okay. And you referenced this a little bit, but I think a big question folks have is how's this going to impact them if they have investments or they're owning property, as you mentioned?
Yeah, so right now, this is actually sort of preventative. So right now, there is no tax on the sale of property by Texas. I'll be clear, the federal government will still tax things, but Texas will not.
Okay. Important. That's important to note for folks. And can you help us try to understand what unrealized capital gains are and why that matters?
Yes, there had been a push for wealthy people or certain businesses as well, where it said if they made a lot of money but they didn't sell the stock, they didn't sell the business, there had been some push by both the legislatures in Washington and in other states to say, well, let's tax them anyway, even if they haven't actually sold the property. And so far, none of that has passed because that opens a whole different issue to say if you don't actually have the money, how are you supposed to pay the tax? And so, again, Texas implemented that as part of the Constitution that says it will not happen in Texas without us as the voters approving it.
Okay, a lot to wade through here. And as we move on to Proposition 6, what does that mean for Texans?
Yeah, so Proposition 6 also had to do with specifically things within the investment or the trading industry. There had been some talk of actually bringing a New York Stock Exchange, so bringing an exchange to Texas as an alternative to New York. And this law was basically proposed to make sure that if that type of business comes and brings jobs here, that they wouldn't be taxed simply on the exchanging between 2 other parties. They'd still be taxed again on their profit. But for us as individuals, that would give, as investors, again, another alternative to the New York Stock Exchange, and for the rest of us as Texans, additional jobs and businesses and revenue into the state.
Okay. All right. And as we continue to kind of move on down the list here, looking at Proposition 8, this deals, my understanding, taxes on inheritances. So what do people need to know about that legislation?
Yep. And this is a big one for pretty much all of us here, is it says inheritance tax, which is basically the most common example. If a loved one passes away and you received any of their investments, their home, their property, at certain levels at the federal government, you have to pay taxes on receiving that inheritance. And again, other states impose that as well. Texas is now added to the Constitution that Texas will not have an inheritance tax. And so that, again, is a benefit for both us as individuals, but it also solidifies that Texas is a friendly place for family businesses, for ranches, for farms, or even wealthy individuals maybe moving from another state. Well, then Texas is still a good place to come to.
Well, this was certainly a lot to go through. Michael Neuenschwander, thank you so much for breaking that down into layman's terms and giving us some perspective on those propositions. We certainly appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.